Hello, welcome everyone to the Troubleshooting for One-on-One classes for teachers. I'm Kristen, and today we're going to talk about common problems that may occur during your classes and how to go about fixing them and addressing them. Okay, first things first. Remember that the focus is always on your student talking. You want your student to talk more than you talk, if possible. This can be done by asking them to read the directions instead of you reading it, unless of course you need to model for them. Also by asking them lots and lots of questions. One of the things that will help you ask lots of questions and get them talking is to really know your student. Try to find out their hobbies and their interests. So for example, if you find out that Timmy really loves soccer, why don't you ask him about his favorite move in soccer? Or ask him what his favorite soccer team is. Try to find out things about China and about life there, and try to bring those things into your lesson to get them talking at the beginning. This will help them relax and they will be more open and ready to discuss their interests, their hobbies, and even English. Okay, so that's the first thing, get them talking. Okay, one problem is if your student does not understand your instruction. What I would do first is, of course, repeat the instructions slower and clearer. You can even reword it in a more simple language if you prefer, but definitely repeat it, okay? If that still doesn't work, then try modeling the answer for them. So model whatever it is you're trying to get them to say. And it's okay if you're giving them the answer this first time. Hopefully the next time you give this instruction with a different problem, then they can answer it in the way that you're wanting. If that still doesn't work, then try writing the instruction out for them using your text annotate tool. Because remember, many of our students can read better than they can listen. Okay, what happens if your student reads a passage of material and makes just loads of mistakes? What you want to do there is break the passage down into maybe one sentence at a time or even half a sentence at a time. And this way you can go through it slowly together and it won't be so overwhelming for your student. So, for example, if you've read an entire paragraph and they made just too many mistakes, highlight just the first sentence and have them read that, and then after that highlight just one word that they said wrong and have them repeat it several times after you model it correctly. That way the student will not be so discouraged. Okay, what happens if your student is having a really hard time concentrating? So this is where you need to get really creative and just try to engage them as best you can. This is where you can bring in some of the knowledge you have about their interests. Bring a soccer ball in and try to use that as part of your lesson, or a princess hat or something like that. Or just be really silly, especially with the younger students. Be wacky and crazy and use your arms like nuts. And make silly songs or try to get them to use their movement. Remember, TPR. You can always get kids more engaged if you are using your total physical response. So be silly, be engaging. You can break from the lesson for a little bit, as long as you are trying to get them re-engaged and back on your face and talking again. That will be a good way to get them back engaged into the lesson. So on that note, here are just some simple ways to make your lessons very engaging and keep your students interested. Not only can you engage them by talking about their hobbies, but you can also bring your own hobbies into your lesson. If any of you play an instrument, that would be just gold for the students. Bring out your guitar. You can play the ABC song yourself on your guitar. You don't have to use the video. Or bring out your violin or tuba, whatever it is. They would love it. Also, you can bring out any puppets or your pets. I know that the students really get excited when they see live animals or even just stuffed animals, things like that. You can even make a sock puppet if you want and have a lot of fun with that and just play with the kids and make it exciting. Another thing is sometimes they may just need a break. You can just take a simple break and have them jog in place or hop up and down, and you do it with them. They would love to see you be silly. You can teach them Simon Says, or have them practice the parts of the face by saying, touch your eyes, touch your nose, touch your ears, and then have them ask you to touch your eyes and touch your nose. And that will get them excited and talking again. They like it when you veer from the lesson just for a little bit, enough to bring them back in, and then you can go back to the lesson plan. So these are just some simple ways to keep them engaged and excited about learning English. So another thing that's really useful and effective in teaching is to bring your own images into the lesson. Sometimes I just simply look through the lesson ahead of time during my preparation, and I think, what are some images that will really draw this concept home? So I just make a separate Word document, and I put those pictures on the Word document, or I set up a YouTube video and I get it just right on the clip, and then I have it ready and waiting in my browser. And when the time comes in the lesson for me to show that image, I just share the screen on the Word document, and it shows them some funny image, usually with a crazy character making a funny face. For example, one time I was trying to teach the concept of careful, because it's kind of a hard word to describe. So I showed a picture of a funny man who was backing away in a museum, and he was knocking a vase over. And the student, when I showed him the picture, I said, "Is he being careful?" And the student laughed really hard, and he said, no, he's not being careful. So this really helped to drive the concept home, and it made it a little interesting, so I wasn't just thumbing through slides over and over again the whole lesson. So that's just one other idea about bringing images and video clips into your lesson. Okay, what happens if your student is just fascinated with a toy or something around them in their room and they are not paying attention to you? I suggest you grab your own toy or whatever is within reach of you and try to incorporate it into the lesson. So for example, you can say, "Susie, can your toy write the letter O, or P?" And notice you have to do it backwards so that it will come out correctly on their screen. That's one thing you can do with a toy. Another thing you can do is practice prepositions or location. For example, "Susie, can your toy go on your head? On your head? Can your toy go behind your head? Behind?" And then you tell Susie, "Susie, put your toy on the desk and move it out of the screen so she can't see it anymore." And then leave it there, and then you show her your empty hand. "No more toy. Let me see your hand." And then try to continue with your lesson. If this continues to happen though, it is probably worth talking to the to-do staff so they can communicate to the parent that this is an issue. But try to take care of it on your own if you can. Okay, what happens if you finish your lesson early, but you still have a lot of time left? We definitely don't want you to end your meeting time. So what you should first do is go back and review. And that means you can review the entire lesson, each slide, depending on how much time you have left, or preferably just review whatever were problem areas for your student. So for example, if there was a word that was difficult for them or something that they couldn't pronounce very well the first time, definitely go back and review the pronunciation and have them repeat it a few more times. If you still have a lot of time left, try to ask questions or even encourage them to ask you questions about either the topics on the page or the pictures. For example, you could say, "How many fish are on this page? Can you count the fish?" Or if they are more advanced, you can ask them, "Do you like fish? Tell me about some fish in China." Something like this. Ask them questions about the pictures and about the concepts on the page. Okay, the last idea I have for today is introducing a reward system. So for example, if you have a child that enjoys shiny, flashing objects or maybe something sparkly, you can get a wand that has a flashing toy at the end or something. And every time they get an answer right, bring it into the camera and make it light up and they'll just go bananas. It'll be great. Or maybe get a pack of stickers about something that they like, for example, soccer balls or Mickey Mouse or something. And every time they get an answer right, put one on your face or put it on a piece of paper next to you. And then at the end of the lesson, they can see how many stickers they've earned. Some of my students even just simply love it when I draw big stars on the screen or check marks with the annotate tool, and they think, wow, I got an answer right. I feel so motivated. So these are just a few examples of rewards, and if you can think of your own, we really encourage that as well. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.